nothing against you.
That's okay, babe. We're going to make it work. Alright, we're going to jump into chapter 2, creating a multiverse. Just the first kind of chunk of it, pages 43 to 51. We're going to read from the planes all the way to the, and we're going to stop at the inner planes. So, let's get started. Alright, this is reading the dungeon manual to my son. Okay, the Dungeon Master's Guide to my son. Are you listening, my son?
Yes.
Alright, great. I'm not feeling very well, so let's just do it. When adventurers reach higher levels, their path extends to other dimensions of reality, the planes of existence that form the multiverse. The characters might be called on to rescue a friend from the horrific depths of the abyss, or to sail the shining waters of the river Oceanus. They can hoist a tankard with the friendly giants of Ysgard, or face the chaos of Limbo to contact a wizened Githeri sage. Planes of existence define the extremes of strange and often dangerous environments. The most bizarre locations present settings undreamed of in the natural world. Planar adventures offer unprecedented dangers and wonders. Adventurers walk on streets made of solid fire or test their mettle on a battlefield where the fallen are resurrected with each dawn. The planes. The various planes of existence are realms of myth and mystery. They're not simply other worlds, but dimensions formed and governed by spiritual and elemental principles. The outer planes are realms of spirituality and thought. They are the spheres where celestials, fiends, and deities exist. The plane of Elysium, for example, isn't merely a place where good creatures dwell, and not even simply the place where spirits of good creatures go when they die. It is a plane of goodness, a spiritual realm where evil can't flourish. It is as much a state of being and of mind as it is a physical location. The inner planes exemplify the physical essence and elemental nature of air, earth, fire, and water. The elemental plane of fire, for example, embodies the essence of fire. The plane's entire substance is suffused with the fundamental nature of fire: energy, passion, transformation, and destruction. Even objects of solid brass or basalt seem to dance with flame, and a visible and palpable manifestation of the vibrancy of fire's dominion. In this context, the material plane is the nexus where all these philosophical and elemental forces collide in the jumbled existence of mortal life and matter. The worlds of D&D exist within the material plane, making it the starting point for most campaigns and adventures. The rest of the multiverse is defined in relation to the material plane. Okay? Planar categories. The planes of the default D&D cosmology are grouped in the following categories. The material plane and its echoes. So that's the Feywild, the Shadowfell. These are reflections of the material plane. The transitive planes. The ethereal plane and the astral plane are mostly featureless planes that serve primarily as pathways to travel from one plane to another. The inner planes, the four elemental planes, air, earth, fire, and water, plus the elemental chaos that surrounds them, are the inner planes. The outer planes, 16 outer planes, correspond to the 8 non-neutral alignments and shades of philosophical difference between them, and then the positive and negative planes. These two planes enfold the rest of the cosmology, providing the raw forces of life and death that underlie the rest of existence in the multiverse. Putting the planes together. As described in the Player's Handbook, the assumed D&D cosmology includes more than 24 planes. That's a lot. For your campaign, you decide what planes to include, inspired by the standard planes drawn from Earth's myths or created by your own imagination. At minimum, most D&D campaigns require these elements: a plane of origin for fiends, a plane of origin for celestials, a plane of origin for elementals, a place for deities, which might include any or all of the previous 3, the place where mortal spirits go after death, which might include any or all of the first 3, a way of getting from one plane to another, a way for spells and monsters that use the astral plane and the ethereal plane to function. Okay? Once you've decided on the planes you want to use in your campaign, putting them into a coherent cosmology is an optional step. Since the primary way of traveling from plane to plane, even using the transitive planes, is through magical portals that link planes together, the exact relationship of different places to one another is largely a theoretical concern. No being in the multiverse can look down and see the planes in their arrangement the same way as we look at them in a diagram in a book. Or the way that we look at a diagram in a book. No mortal can verify whether Mount Celestia is sandwiched between Biotopia and Arcadia, but it's a convenient theoretical construct based on the philosophical shading among the three planes and the relative importance they give to law and good. Sages have constructed a few such theoretical models to make sense of the jumble of planes, particularly the outer planes. The three most common are the Great Wheel, the World Tree, and the World Axis, but you can create or adapt whatever model works best for the planes you want to use in your game. Okay, so and then there's a little side note here, inventing your own planes. Each of the planes described in this chapter has at least one significant effect on travelers who venture there. When you design your own planes, it's a good idea to stick to that model. Create one simple trait that players notice that doesn't create too much complication at the gaming table and that's easy to remember. Try to reflect the philosophy and mood of the place, not merely its physical characteristics. Okay, so we're going to break down these three kind of models, the Great Wheel, the World Tree, and the World Axis. Okay, the Great Wheel, the default cosmological arrangement presented in the player's handbook, visualizes the planes as a group of concentric wheels, with the material plane and its echoes at the center. The inner planes form a wheel around the material plane, enveloped in the ethereal plane. Then the outer planes form another wheel around and behind, or above or below that one, arranged according to alignment, with the outlands linking them all. This arrangement makes sense of the way the river Styx flows along among the lower planes, connecting Acheron, the Nine Hells, Gehenna, Hades, Carcerai, the Abyss, and the Pandemonium, like beads on a string. But it's not the only possible explanation of the river's course. We're reading different models for the planes of the multiverse in D&D. The second model is the World Tree. That's what we're going to read about now, the World Tree model, instead of the wheel model, the Great Wheel model. All right, the World Tree. A different arrangement of planes envisions them situated among the roots and branches of a great cosmic tree, literally or figuratively. For example, the Norse cosmology centers on the World Tree, Yggdrasil. The three roots of the World Tree touch the three realms: Asgard, an outer plane that includes Valhalla, Vanaheim, Alfheim, and other regions; Midgard, the material plane; and Niflheim, the underworld. The Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, is a unique transitive plane that connects Asgard and Midgard. Similarly, one vision of the planes where the deities of the Forgotten Realms reside situates a number of celestial planes in the branches of a world tree, while the fiendish planes are linked by a river of blood. Neutral planes stand apart from them. Each of these planes is primarily the domain of one or more deities, though they are also the homes of celestial and fiendish creatures. Okay? Here's another model, the World Axis. In this view of the cosmos, the material plane and its echoes stand between two opposing realms. The astral plane, or astral sea, floats above them, holding any number of divine domains, the outer planes. Below the material plane is the elemental chaos, a single, undifferentiated elemental plane where all the elements clash together. At the bottom of the elemental chaos is the abyss, like a hole torn in the fabric of the cosmos. Other visions. So here are some other visions beyond the Great Wheel, the World Tree, and the World Axis. All right. As you build your own cosmology, consider the following alternatives. The Omniverse. Okay, the Omniverse. This simple cosmology covers the bare minimum: a material plane, the transitive planes, a single elemental chaos, an overheaven where good aligned deities and the celestials live, and the underworld where evil deities and fiends live. Okay, another vision: myriad planes. In this cosmology, countless planes clump together like soap bubbles, intersecting with each other more or less at random. Okay, the orrery. The orrery. All the inner and outer planes orbit the material plane, exerting greater or lesser influence on the world as they come nearer and farther. The world of Eberron uses this cosmological model. Okay, the winding road model. In this cosmology, every plane is a stop along an infinite road. Each plane is adjacent to two others, but there's no necessary cohesion between adjacent planes. Each plane is adjacent to two others, but there's no necessary cohesion between adjacent planes. A traveler can walk from the slopes of Mount Celestia onto the slopes of Gehenna. Okay, Mount Olympus. In the Greek cosmology, Mount Olympus stands at the center of the world, the material plane, with its peak so high that it's actually another plane of existence. Olympus, the home of the gods. All the Greek gods except Hades have their own domains within Olympus. In Hades, named for its ruler, mortal souls linger as insubstantial shades until they eventually fade into nothing. Tartarus, where the Titans are imprisoned in endless darkness, lies below Hades, and far to the west of the known world, in the material plane, are the blessed Elysian fields. The souls of great heroes reside there. Okay, here's another model, the solar barge. The Egyptian cosmology is defined by the daily path of the sun, across the sky, the material plane, down to the fair offering fields in the west, where the souls of the righteous live in eternal reward, and then beneath the world through the nightmarish 12 hours of night. The solar barge is a tiny outer plane in its own right, though it exists within the astral plane and the other outer planes in the different stages of its journey. Okay? The one world model. In this model, there are no other planes of existence, but the material planes includes places like the bottomless abyss, the shining Mount Celestial, the strange city of Mechanus, the fortress of Acheron, and so on. All the planes are locations in the world, reachable by ordinary means of travel, though extraordinary effort is required, for example, to sail across the sea to the blessed Isles of Elysium. Okay, the other world model. In this model, the material plane has a twin realm that fills the role of all the other planes. Much like the Feywild, it overlays the material plane and can be reached through thin places where the worlds are particularly close, through caves, by sailing far across the sea, or in fairy rings in remote forests. It has dark, evil regions, homes of fiends and evil gods, sacred isles, homes of celestials and the spirits of the blessed death, and realms of elemental fury. This other world is sometimes overseen by an eternal city, or by 4 cities that each represent a different aspect of the reality. The Celtic cosmology has an other world called Tirnanog. Okay? And the cosmologies of some religions inspired by Asian myth have a similar spirit world. Okay? We're now in the second big section, planar travel. This is going to talk about traveling between planes. When adventurers travel to other planes of existence, they undertake a legendary journey that might force them to face supernatural guardians and undergo various ordeals. The nature of that journey and the trials along the way depend in part on the means of travel and whether the adventurers find a magic portal or use a spell to carry them. Okay, planar portals. Raistlin's eyes studied the portal, studied every detail intently, although it was not really necessary. He had seen it myriad times in dreams, both sleeping and waking. The spells to open it were simple, nothing elaborate or complex. Each of the 5 dragon heads surrounding and guarding the portal must be propitiated with the correct phrase. Each must be spoken to in the proper order. But once that was done, and the white-robed cleric had exhorted Paladine to intercede and hold the portal open, they would enter. It would close behind them, and he would face his greatest challenge. Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman, War of the Twins. So, portal. Portal is a general term for stationary interplanar connection that links a specific location on one plane to a specific location on another. Some portals function like doorways, appearing as a clear window or fog-shrouded passage, and interplanar travel is as simple as stepping through the doorway. Other portals are locations, circles of standing stones, soaring towers, sailing ships, or even whole towns that exist in multiple planes at once or flicker from one plane to another. Some are vortices, joining an elemental plane with a very similar location on the material plane, such as the heart of a volcano leading to the plane of fire, or the depths of the ocean to the plane of water. Passing through a planar portal can be the simplest way to travel from the material plane to a desired location on another plane. Most of the time, though, a portal presents an adventure in itself. First, the adventurers must find a portal that leads where they want to go. Most portals exist in distant locations, and a portal's location often has thematic similarities to the plane it leads to. For example, a portal to the heavenly mountain of Celestia might be located on a mountain peak. Second, portals often have guardians charged with ensuring that undesirable people don't pass through. Depending on the portal's destination, undesirable people might include evil characters, good characters, cowards, thieves, anyone wearing a robe, or any mortal creature. A portal's guardian is typically a powerful magical creature, such as a genie, sphinx, titan, or native of the portal's destination plane. Finally, most portals don't stand open all the time, but open only in particular situations or when a certain requirement is met. A portal can have any conceivable requirement, but the following are the most common. So the first requirement, time. The portal functions only at particular times, during a full moon on the material plane, or every 10 days, or when the stars are in a particular position. Once it opens, such a portal remains open for a limited time, such as for 3 days following the full moon, or for an hour, or for 1d4 plus 1 rounds. Wow. Okay, so here's another requirement for how a portal might open. Situation. The portal functions only if a particular condition is met. A situation keyed portal opens on a clear night, or when it rains, or when a certain spell is cast in its vicinity. Random. Okay. A random portal functions for a random period, then shuts down for a similarly random duration. Typically, such a portal allows 1d6 plus 6 travelers to pass through, then shuts down for 1d6 days. A command word. The portal functions only if a particular command word is spoken. Sometimes the word must be spoken as a character passes through the portal, which is otherwise a mundane doorway, windows, or similar opening. Other portals open when the command word is spoken and remain open for a short time. Key. The portal functions if the traveler is holding a particular object. The item acts much like a key to a door. This key item can be a common object or a particular key created for that portal. The city of Sigil above the Outlands is known as the City of Doors because it features an overwhelming number of such item-keyed portals. Learning and meeting a portal's requirements can draw characters into further adventures as they chase down a key item, scour old libraries for command words, or consult sages to find the right time to visit the portal. Okay. Our next section is spells. Saria raised her hands and began to declaim the words of a very powerful spell, one of the most dangerous she knew. A spell designed to breach the barriers between the planes and create a magical bridge into another realm of existence. The mythical thrummed in response. The mythal thrummed in response, the intangible pulse of the old device taking on a new and different note. Saria ignored the mythal stone change and pressed on, finishing her gate spell with skill and confidence. "The gate is open," she cried. "Malkazid, come forth!" Before Saria, a great ring or hoop of golden magic coalesced from the air. Through it, she glimpsed the realm of Malkazid, an infernal wasteland of parched desert, windswept rifts, and black, angry skies torn by crimson lightning. Then, through the gate, the arch-evil Malkazid appeared. With one smooth step, he crossed from his infernal plane into the mythal chamber. Richard Baker, Farthest Reach. A number of spells allow direct or indirect access to other planes of existence. Plane Shift and Gate can directly transport adventurers to any other plane, with different degrees of precision. Etherealness allows adventurers to enter the ethereal plane, and the Astral Projection spell lets adventurers project themselves into the astral plane, and from there travel to the outer planes. Plane Shift. The Plane Shift spell has two important limitations. The first is the material component, a small forked metal rod, like a tuning fork, attuned to the desired plane or destination. The spell requires the proper resonating frequency to home in on the correct location, and the fork must be made of the right material, sometimes a complex alloy, to focus the spell's magic properly. Crafting the fork is expensive, at least 250 gold pieces, but even the act of researching the correct specifications can lead to adventure. After all, not many people voluntarily travel into the depths of Karkaray, so very few know what kind of tuning fork is required to get there. Second, the spell doesn't send the caster to a specific location unless he or she has specialized information. The sigil sequence of a teleportation circle located on another plane allows the caster to travel directly to that circle, but such knowledge is even harder to come by than the specifications of the required tuning fork. Otherwise, the spell transports the caster to a location in the general vicinity of the desired spot. Okay. Wherever the adventurers arrive, they'll most likely still need to undertake a journey to reach the object of a planar quest. Alright, so we've got a plane shift, and then the other option is another spell is the gate spell. The gate spell opens a portal linked to a specific point on another plane of existence. The spell provides a shortcut to a planar destination, bypassing many of the guardians and trials that would normally fill such a journey. But this 9th level spell is out of reach for all but the most powerful characters, and it does nothing to negate any obstacles that wait at the destination. The gate spell is powerful, but not infallible. A deity, demon lord, or other powerful entity can prevent such a portal from opening within its dominion. Okay. Astral plane. Give me some water, please. Close the door behind me. Thanks. Alright, the astral plane. Actually, kids, come here. Don't worry about that right now. Just close it. I don't want you to miss this. Astral plane. Halistra opened her eyes and found herself drifting in an endless silver sea. Soft gray clouds moved slowly in the distance while strange dark streaks twisted violently through the sky, anchored in ends so distant she couldn't perceive them, their middle parts revolving angrily like pieces of string rolled between a child's fingertips. She glanced down, wondering what supported her, and saw nothing but more of the strange pearly sky beneath her feet and all around her. She drew in a sudden breath, surprised by the sight, and felt her lungs fill with something sweeter and perhaps a little more solid than air. But instead of gagging or drowning on the stuff, she seemed perfectly acclimated to it. An electric thrill raced through her limbs as she found herself mesmerized by the simple act of respiration. Richard Baker, Condemnation. The Astral Plane. The Astral Plane is the realm of thought and dream where visitors travel as disembodied souls to reach the outer planes. It is a great silvery sea, the same above and below, with swirling wisps of white and gray streaking among motes of light like distant stars. Most of the Astral Sea is a vast empty expanse. Visitors occasionally stumble upon the petrified corpse of a dead god or other chunks of rock drifting forever in the silvery void. Much more commonplace are color pools, magical pools of colored light that flicker like radiant spinning coins. Creatures on the astral plane don't age or suffer from hunger or thirst. For this reason, humanoids that live on the astral plane, such as the Githyanki, establish outposts on other planes, often the material plane, so that their children can grow them into maturity. A traveler in the astral plane can move by simply thinking about moving, but distance has little meaning. In combat, though, a creature's walking speed in feet is equal to 3 times its intelligence score. The smarter a creature is, the easier it can control its movement by active will. Okay, astral projection. Traveling through the astral plane by means of the astral projection spell involves projecting one's consciousness there, usually in search of a gateway to an outer plane to visit. Since the outer planes are as much spiritual states of being as they are physical places, this allows a character to manifest in an outer plane as if he or she had physically traveled there, but as in a dream. A character's death, either in the astral plane or in the destination plane, causes no actual harm. Only the severing of a character's silver cord while on the astral plane, or the death of his or her helpless physical body on the material plane, can result in the character's true death. Thus, high-level characters sometimes travel to the outer planes by way of astral projection rather than seek out a portal or use a more direct spell. Only a few things can sever a traveler's silver cord, the most common being a psychic wind, described below. The legendary silver swords of the Githyanki also have this ability. A character who travels bodily to the astral plane by means of the plane shift spell, or one of the rare portals that leads directly there, has no silver cord. Okay?
Silver cord.
Yeah, so it didn't really explain the silver cord, what it is. It just says that they possess it. Severing of a character's silver cord while in the astral plane can result in the character's true death. I don't know. We will look that up later. Color pools. Gateways leading from the astral plane to other planes appear as two-dimensional pools of rippling colors, 1d6 by 10 feet in diameter. Traveling to another plane requires locating a color pool that leads to a desired plane. These gateways to other planes can be identified by color, as shown on the Astral Color Pools table. Finding the right color pool is a matter of chance. Locating the correct one takes 1d4 times 10 hours of travel. Astral Color Pools. Okay, I'm going to read them. There are about 19 of them, okay?
Okay.
1, Ysgard, Indigo. 2, Limbo, Jet Black. 3, Pandemonium, Magenta. 4, The Abyss, Amethyst. 5, Karkari, Olive. 6, Hades, Rust. 7, Gehenna, Russet. 8, The Nine Hells, Ruby. 9, Acheron, Flame Red. 10, Mechanus, Diamond Blue. 11, Arcadia, Saffron. 12, Mount Celestia, Gold. 13, Bitopia, Amber. 14, Elysium, Orange. 15, The Beastlands, Emerald Green. 16, Arborea, Sapphire Blue. 17, The Outlands, Leather Brown. 18, Ethereal Plane, Spiraling White. 19 to 20, Material Plane, Silver. Okay, let's see. A psychic wind. A psychic wind isn't a physical wind like that found in the material plane, but a storm of thought that batters travelers' minds rather than their bodies. A psychic wind is made up of lost memories, forgotten ideas, minor musings, and subconscious fears that went astray in the astral plane and conglomerated into this powerful force. A psychic wind is first sensed as a rapid darkening of the silver gray sky. After a few rounds, the area becomes as dark as a moonless night. As the sky darkens, the traveler feels buffeting and shaking as if the plane itself was rebelling against the storm. As quickly as it comes, the psychic wind passes and the sky returns to normal in a few rounds. The psychic wind has two kinds of effects. A location effect and a mental effect. A group of travelers journeying together suffers the same location effect. Each traveler affected by the wind must also make a DC 15 intelligence saving throw. On a failed save, the traveler suffers the mental effect as well. Roll a d20 twice and consult the psychic wind effects table to determine the location and mental effects. Okay. Psychic wind effects. So d20, 1 to 8 diverted, add 1d6 hours to travel time. 9 to 12 blown off course, add 3 d10 hours to travel time. 13 to 16 lost. At the end of the travel time, characters arrive at a location other than the intended destination. 17 to 20 sent through the color pool to a random plane. Roll in the astral color pools table. Wow. Location effect. Okay, that's the location effects. Roll a d20 for the psychic wind effects. When you roll a d20 for the mental effects of a psychic wind, 1 to 8. Stun for 1 minute. You can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of your turns to end the effect on yourself. 9 to 10, short-term madness. Okay, 11 to 12. 11, 2d10 psychic damage. 13 to 16, 22, 4d10 psychic damage. 17 to 18, long-term madness. Okay, see chapter 8. 19 to 20, unconscious for 1d10 minutes. The effect on you ends if you take damage or if another creature uses an action to shake you awake. Okay. Sounds pretty scary. Alright. Astral plane encounters. Planar travelers and refugees from other planes wander the expanses of the astral plane. The most prominent denizens of the astral plane are the Githyanki, an outcast race of reavers that sail sleek astral ships, slaughter astral travelers, and raid planes touched by the astral. Their city, Tunaroth, floats along the astral plane on a chunk of rock that is actually the body of a dead god. Celestials, fiends, and mortal explorers often scour the astral plane for color pools leading to desired destinations. Characters who linger for too long in the astral might have an encounter with one or more wandering angels, demons, devils, night hags, Yugoloths, or other planar travelers. Okay. So now we have the ethereal plane to be described. And then we're going to go through the Feywild, then the Shadowfell, and then that's it. So, not too far. Okay. Alright. Ethereal plane. Tamlin felt a hand on him, felt his body shimmer into mist. The screams and shouts sounded far off. The walls around him appeared to be only gray shadows. Rivelin and Brynnis stood beside him. The ethereal plane, Rivelin said. The dragon's breath cannot affect us here. Paul S. Kemp, Shadowstone. The ethereal plane is a misty, fog-bound dimension. Its shores, called the border ethereal, overlap the material plane and the inner planes, so that every location on those planes has a corresponding location on the ethereal plane. Visibility in the border ethereal is limited to 60 feet. The plane's depths comprise a region of swirling mist and fog called the deep ethereal, where visibility is limited to 30 feet. Characters can use the etherealness spell to enter the border ethereal. The plane shift spell allows transport to the border ethereal or the deep ethereal, but unless the intended destination is a specific location or a teleportation circle, the point of arrival could be anywhere on the plane. Okay, border ethereal. From the border ethereal, a traveler can see into whatever plane it overlaps. But that plane appears muted and indistinct, its colors blurring into each other and its edges turning fuzzy. Ethereal denizens watch the plane as though peering through distorted and frosted glass and can't see anything beyond 30 feet into the other plane. Conversely, the ethereal plane is usually invisible to those on the overlap planes, except with the aid of magic. Normally, creatures in the border ethereal can't attack creatures on the overlap plane and vice versa. A traveler on the ethereal plane is invisible and utterly silent to someone on the overlap plane, and solid objects on the overlap plane don't hamper the movement of a creature in the border ethereal. The exceptions are certain magical effects, including anything made of magical force and living beings. This makes the ethereal plane ideal for reconnaissance, spying on opponents, and moving around without being detected. The ethereal plane also disobeys the laws of gravity. A creature there can move up and down as easily as walking. Deep ethereal. Okay? To reach the deep ethereal, one needs a plane shift spell, or arrive by means of a gate spell or magical portal. Visitors to the deep ethereal are engulfed by roiling mist. Scattered throughout the plane are curtains of vaporous color, and passing through a curtain leads a traveler to a region of the border ethereal and connected to a specific inner plane, the material plane, the Feywild, or the Shadowfell. The color of the curtain indicates the plane whose border ethereal the curtain conceals. See the ethereal curtains table. Okay? So we've got ethereal curtains here to go through. So you roll a d8, and 1 through 8. 1 is the material plane, it's bright turquoise. 2 is the Shadowfell, dusky gray. 3 is the Feywild, opalescent white. 4 is the plane of air, pale blue. 5 is the plane of earth, reddish brown. 6 is the plane of fire, orange. 7 is the plane of water, green. 8 is the elemental chaos, swirling mix of colors. Okay, traveling through the deep ethereal to journey from one plane to another is unlike physical travel. Distance is meaningless, so although travelers feel as if they can move by a simple act of will, it's impossible to measure speed and hard to track the passage of time. A trip between planes through the deep ethereal takes 1d10 times 10 hours, regardless of the origin and destination. In combat, however, creatures are considered to move at their normal speeds. Okay, ether cyclones. An ether cyclone is a serpentine column that spins through the plane. The cyclone appears abruptly, distorting and uprooting ethereal forms in its path and carrying the debris for leagues. Travelers with a passive wisdom perception score of 15 or more receive 1d4 rounds of warning, a deep hum in the ethereal matter. Travelers who can't reach a curtain or portal leading elsewhere suffer the cyclone's effect. Roll a d20 and consult the ether cyclone table to determine the effect on all creatures in the vicinity. So an ether cyclone. 1 to 12 with the d20 roll, extended journey, 13 to 19. Blown to the border ethereal of a random plane, roll in the ethereal curtains table, 20. Hurled into the astral plane. Okay. The most common effect of an ether cyclone is to extend the duration of a journey. Each character in a group traveling together must make a DC 15 charisma saving throw. If at least half the group succeeds, travel is delayed by 1d10 hours. Otherwise, the journey's travel time is doubled. Less often, a group is blown into the border ethereal of a random plane. Rarely, the cyclone tears a hole in the fabric of the plane and hurls the party into the astral plane. Okay? Ethereal plane encounters. Most encounters in the border ethereal are with creatures on the material plane whose senses or abilities extend into the ethereal plane. Phase spiders, for example. Ghosts also move freely between the ethereal and material planes. In the deep ethereal, most encounters are with other travelers, particularly ones from the inner plane, such as elementals, genies, and salamanders, as well as the occasional celestial fiend or fae. Okay? The next plane. Feywild. Okay, stepping into the portal was like settling into a warm bath, though the chill didn't fade from the air. At first, everything muted. The roar of the river around the rocks below, the chirping of frogs and crickets on shore, the evening bustle of the town behind him. A moment later, the world erupted into vibrant life. Frogs and nightbirds sang a chorus. The air was awash with autumn scents. The moonlight painted the flowers in iridescent blue, silver, and violet, and the rushing of the river became a complex symphony. James Wyatt, Oath of Vigilance. Okay, the Feywild, also called the Plain of Fairy, is a land of soft lights and wonder, a place of music and death. It is a realm of everlasting twilight, and with glittering fairy lights bobbing in the gentle breeze, and fat fireflies buzzing through the groves and fields. The sky is alight with the faded colors of an ever-setting sun, which never truly sets, or rises for that matter. It remains stationary, dusky and low in the sky. Away from the settled areas ruled by the Seelie Fae that compose the summer court, the land is a tangle of sharp-toothed brambles and syrupy fens. Perfect territory for the unseelie Fae to hunt their prey. The Feywild exists in parallel to the material plane.